all the events and the activities and fun happening in Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland, and beyond. And of course, this is the broadcast equivalent of all of the feature columns, stories, coverage that you'll read in the flagship Post Tribune newspaper each day, or the umbrella publication that is Chicago Tribune Media to capture everything. We're just so glad that you're along for the ride and for our conversation. Some of you are tuned in through our traditional radio dials as we come to you from our Hammond studios, the Strachan Van Til studios, and we want to stamp that this interview is happening on Tuesday, November the 4th. So in case you're hearing a rebroadcast, you'll know exactly the time and place to put the dates together for your timeline and for your own planning. We are so pleased that we are here. Compliments of the wonderful underwriting and sponsorship of the generosity of the folks at People's Bank. And over the years, of the 8 years the show has existed, our friends at Legacy Foundation, Indiana Arts Commission, and most of all you, our viewers and listeners. Some of you have the added advantage that you're streaming us. Maybe you found us along social media, a YouTube stream, and so you have the added advantage to see everything that's happening here in the studio. And we're about to solve some mysteries. The first of mystery of which, and I have my magnifying glasses here, the first of which is to find out about our guest and who's here today. So I'm going to start right here with our director and returning guest, Rob Hunt. Thanks
Hello.
for joining us.
Thank you, and I have my co-director Stanley Hudson with me as well.
And we have one more guest.
Yep.
James Roten.
Very good. A returning guest, I should say. And James, we didn't get to discuss this prior to going on the air. When was the last time? Do you remember what production or show you were in that brought you here?
P.S. Your Cat is Dead with Angie Lowe.
Okay, but not School of Rock. Have you done School of Rock
No.
as well? No. Okay. So, and that was done at
LCTG.
That's right. Okay, that's what I thought. So that's been a little while ago. Today we're here because of the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Give us the title of this show, and we'll get our producer to also flash the poster for folks to see. Rob?
This show is called Baskerville. It's an adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, more of a farce.
And this is being produced by our friends at 4th Street Theater. So our friends to the east, just a stone's throw away. A wonderful, intimate setting. I believe about 80 seats, correct? So it's very quaint, very cozy, a great place for a mystery. And the running dates for this.
We open this coming weekend, November 7th and 8th. We run 3 weekends in a row. First weekend is just Friday and Saturday. The next weekend is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the last weekend will be Thursday through Sunday.
And that's with both matinees and evening performances, right?
Correct. Our evening performances on Fridays, Saturdays, and the one Thursday are all at 8 p.m., and all of our Sunday performances start at 3 p.m. Box office always opens a half hour before.
And I always advise, especially when it's a space such as this, I always say the same thing with our friends of Footlight Players. It's better to get your reservation before. That way you know you've got your spot and your seat. If you're just a walk-up, I mean, you can take a chance and you might be able to get in, but better to plan, and that way you know you're set to go and you've got your spot, and you won't have to be fretting or worrying about that too much.
Definitely good call, as we know of 2 performances already that are close to sold out. So.
Oh, that's great. That is, we love to hear that news and all. And I'm going to attach another name to this, Ken Ludwig, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ken Ludwig, I'm sure, is familiar to a lot of our faithful returning folks that are either watching us or as a viewer or maybe listening to us. Ken Ludwig is just such a master of a parody of farce. Connect him to other titles as a playwright, such as Moon Over Buffalo and Lend Me a Tenor.
Yeah.
That's also his work as well. And there was something I saw on Facebook that was just a nice note, and that shows the kind of personal touch he gives to everything, kind of giving you a rah-rah, cheering you on. The production's about to open. Is that right?
We were so elated. Well, I was as the director. We got this message in the middle of rehearsal, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And we got a letter that was signed by him. And it was great. It was awesome to see that.
That's just exactly the kind of person that he is. There's been times, I think, with some of our other theater groups, I'm not even sure, I'm thinking maybe Toll Theater, but I'm not sure who it might have been, where I think he's even taken time and jumped on a Zoom call and just visits them with the cast, and he's just an all-around good guy. And so that tells you, if you're looking for what kind of mystery it is, it's going to be mystery mixed with mirth, right?
Yeah.
Some humor and some fun.
Oh, I would. I'm going to be asking the audience to put on their 4th grade imaginations as well as their adult sleuthing, That's the kind of ride they're in for.
And Stan, you've got such a long history with so many of the theater productions. Is this one that you've ever crossed paths with before in the past?
Who, me?
Yes.
No.
No, because even myself, I wasn't familiar with it. Does any of us have any of us in our homework to know that, well, it's only been around since he introduced it in the 80s, or did anybody know when it first hit for being licensed?
Oh, wow. That's
And I should have looked it up myself.
It's not something that I mean, I know a little bit of information about him.
Yeah.
Like, he has, at any time, he always has a production somewhere
Sure.
in the world going on, which is a really unique thing. He's the only living author still that has a production at any time always going on.
And I invite anybody out there who's seeing this on social media or streaming, correct us or clarify, but I have been covering theater for 30 years now, and I've written a lot, and this is not a title I'm very familiar with. So that shows, here's your chance to come out to see it. It's so close, right in Chesterton. Always a very fair ticket price. Ticket prices are what for this run?
$20.
Very, very easy. And nowadays, to get to a movie, you're not going to probably get it close to this. The folks at 4th Street Theater also, it's very cozy and it's sort of intimate, but also it's kind of one-stop shop. You've got concessions as well, right? And so will this have enough time to it to sandwich in an intermission, or no, it's a straight run-through?
We will have a 15-minute intermission.
Okay.
And our run time is right at 2 hours right now with the way things are going, so we're very excited about that.
We're going to see some of the photos now float through, courtesy of our producer. Here's a chance now, first for our director to talk a little bit about auditions and the role that James is going to play. So, James, you are
Dr. Watson.
And tell us, where the auditioning process, was it tough to fine-tune and decide who you wanted for those couple lead roles? Or no, you kind of hoped a few people might turn out because you had a vision in your brain?
We weren't sure who was going to turn out for this show because there were so many great shows going on at the same time that had auditions going on, and we got very, very lucky with this amazing cast we have. James, on the one hand, I believe he's played this role a few times, so it probably wouldn't have been his first choice, but he is doing new stuff with it, I'm sure, that everybody's going to find amazing. So audition-wise, we had, 2 or 3...
Well, the interesting part was, as co-directors, we went through auditions, and we each wrote down our selections. And we matched person for person.
Wow.
It was great.
We didn't talk about it.
What a fair way to do that. That's great.
And so it was really actually quite cool that we were on the same vibe.
And so, James, you do have a history with this role, or no, it's more with this character. I did another version of Sherlock Holmes, never this parody version, or no, you've done this parody version
With
before.
this sort of character, not the exact Dr.
Gotcha.
Watson. At Beatniks on Conky, I did the real Sherlock Holmes, and I played Arthur Conan Doyle, who was kind of the Watson character in that sort of play.
All right. Yeah, so there is a history. We also talked a little bit, just before we went on the air, we were talking about the costume. I had brought these magnifying glasses, which kind of the stereotype to go with solving a mystery. And Robin said, you know what, I don't even know if we've even thought of one of those as a prop, but we all talked about the very special type of hat that Sherlock wears. Sherlock is being portrayed by, who's our
Scott Nelson.
Scott Nelson.
Yeah, he's returning to the theater after a few years of not being in, and he's been a wonderful addition. We somebody that we didn't know at 4th Street, so he came out and
He walked in blind, and he just worked.
Oh, that's wonderful. And fortunately, nobody has ever told you about a thing called Amazon, because you took it upon yourself to build the hat, the very unique hat with the flaps that Sherlock wears, and that's not an easy task, huh?
Well, being the costumer for the show, I have my levels, and I shopped for the fabric for the coats and the hats because I wanted them to be perfect.
What a lot of folks don't realize, and not to give the magic away, those heavy trench coats, those overcoats, they look very heavy because that's what they would have had during those cold, damp, London. But on stage, under stage lighting, you want it to look that way, but it shouldn't feel that way. So a lot of times you're trying to make it look authentic, but yet make it also very practical, right? Because you're in layers up there.
Oh, they've got layers.
You've got your layers.
They've got layers, but it is a fabric that is not as heavy. It was picked specifically.
Yeah, I mean, things like tweeds and they look so wonderful in plaids, but that's what they're made for. They're made to hold in that warmth. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the great mystery and farce fun run that is called, it's Baskerville?
Baskerville. Yep.
Baskerville, and Ken Ludwig is the pen that has written this. You know it's going to be funny and it's going to be a frolic on the very small, intimate stage that is 4th Street Theater in Chesterton. Rob Hunter is the director. We have a co-director, Stanley. We have James here, that is Dr. Watson, to kind of tease a little bit about the cast. And this has been in the works since auditions were how many months ago?
We've been rehearsing for 10 weeks, so auditions were a little before that. I think we did auditions in August, if
Yes.
I remember correctly. So, yeah.
And then again, while floating those photos, just again one more time here, it is a small stage. That stage is about the size of this desk. Not really that small, but it's intimate. And correct me, because it looks so formal. You've got the paneling, you've got the fireplace mantle. I'm describing for those who are on our traditional radio dial here. Wonderful costumes, and nod here to our co-director, who's also has got a needle and thread and sewing machine not too far from elbows length away. You do a lot with what's a key bit of space, and from my recollection, there is not a lot of wing space behind there, right, for storing or moving.
Nope.
How many people in this total cast?
There's 5 of them, but there are also 3 dressers and 5 stagehands backstage.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's quite
It's tight.
with all their. I mean, and 3 of those people are playing 45 different characters. So there are costumes everywhere.
Oh, yeah. That is the mark of Ken Ludwig, right?
It's well organized mayhem
Right.
backstage.
That and I applaud you, because when you're taking on something that is meant to be comedy, and you've got a mystery element to it, mysteries are hard to do. Comedies are hard to do because of that blocking, the timing. This is the double-edged swords that you're tackling, that you're doing both. Is it coming together? I'm going to start and ask that of James first. Is it coming together? Because you're right here at the final finish line, right before our first opening this coming weekend. As again, we're covering our interview broadcast on this Tuesday, November the 4th. The scenes are all coming together. Is there one particular one you're still fine-tuning a little bit?
I'd say it's all coming together pretty well.
Good.
I mean, I think, like you said, we're kind of riding this fine line, kind of double dipping a little bit. Me and Scott, Sherlock, are trying to play this as straight as we can, because the mayhem and the comedy is coming all around us by people throwing off jackets on stage, putting on fake mustaches, stuff like that. Oh,
that's great. That is fun. Are there a couple scenes that you two are thinking, well, we're still fine-tuning this, or for the most part with this type of a season cast, it is the pieces are just falling into place?
Well, I was going to say, there was one thing we watched Sunday night, and we talked to the cast about maybe adapting it somewhat to meet what we wanted. They came back last night and just
they
blew
nailed
us out
it
of
right
the
away.
water.
Yeah,
they were so great. Yes,
We
Yeah,
are
you're
excited
lucky.
because of the fact that if we were to start last night, we have a show. We're not still putting things together. The cast could run the show as is. Of course, we have a couple more rehearsals that are just a little fine-tuning, but
couple costume thingies
Couple
to do too.
but would we all agree that's rare, right?
Oh, my
where
gosh.
you're this far ahead of the game, because usually it's
Very
at the
rare.
11th hour. We tease at some of the other theater groups that come in here and they say, I'll say Marion Theater Guild, because they all laugh and like to laugh at this, but it can be opening night and you can still smell wet paint. That it's just right down to the very wire with getting things. So that's wonderful that you folks have pulled it all together. And again, that's a lot to do with the coordination, maybe having both directors involved. It really helps. And then, of course, a seasoned cast that can have the chemistry that makes it so natural and so organic. We are talking about this 3-weekend run, which is great because it gives you an extra weekend pretty much all during the month of November. Baskerville, Ken Ludwig, mystery, but the added bonus of comedy at 4th Street Theater in Chesterton. Where is it at? Well, it's right there on 4th Street. It's an easy space to find. Very close. You might sometimes get the additional sound effect of a train now and then, right?
absolutely.
It's right there, but it's one of my favorite spaces. And if you'll permit me, and I know Stan Lee knows, because we were both wringing our hands during the midst of the pandemic, and I like to bring this up to remember how far we've come. I was there to write a column, and the column was simply that we weren't sure. When I say we, because I feel like I'm a part of all these theater communities, if we're going to weather out this pandemic, because there was not income coming in. There's a board you have to answer to. There are things like electric bills and heating and storage and space, and it looked like, well, maybe do we sell some of the costume inventory? What can we do? I did a column, and a very miraculous thing happened, correct?
It was miraculous, yes.
You know,
we got a very generous donor who has continued to support us and has made 4th Street very, very viable.
and this is what can happen with, again, the power of the arts at a time when there's so much trimming. You know, our own Indiana Arts Commission, their purse strings have tightened very closely because of all the cuts that have happened federally and statewide. It's so important, and anybody who's listened to this broadcast over the 8 years know that the cost of that $20 ticket, it covers just a mere fraction of what it takes to walk in through that door. And it's not because the co-directors have such a huge contract writer with champagne every night and big salaries. So much of what we do, of course, is just folks volunteering their time after work because they believe in the arts. And donors and philanthropists do exist out there. And maybe it's not even the people that you think. It's not often always the front row people that are at every show. It could be somebody who's only been to 1 or 2 shows or just knows about it, and they take the time to write that check or help out. And the same thing, any donation, large or small, there is no too small of a donation to help.
100%.
And that goes for all of our theater groups throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. So we're at a time here where we know we need the arts. What a wonderful escape to go and see a murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
And just get away and the lights go down and you can forget about everything else that's out there in your headlines or your personal life and just be entertained and amused. And that's what this production will certainly do. I've got confidence. But again, a small venue, only 80 seats or so. So we need a phone number and a website again as a reminder.
Are you putting that up or?
Yeah, let's see. We'll put. We can flash it on there, if that, and then maybe our producer will even zoom in to help you with a cheat sheet, so you know exactly what the phone number is and that website. Okay, there we are.
And might I say, we know people, we were discussing this on the way here, that people wait sometimes past opening weekend because of what you were talking about earlier. Sometimes there's wet paint the first weekend and whatnot. We're ready. Come and see this show the first weekend because it is just going to give you delight. And I might add that we have those 3 actors that get to do all that zany stuff. James and Scott as Watson and Holmes, they're the ones that hold that together. Because their facial and their stuff that they do to make the farce stuff work is really important.
Absolutely. All right, my Vanna White, I need a phone number and a website. Who's going to do that for me? Any of you? There's your cheat screen. Go ahead and read those for us.
Sorry.
Yeah, we want to hear that.
James, you want to read them?
Sure.
Yeah, read.
Call 219-926-7875, or you can order online at 4thstreetncca.com.
And while we're up there, I see you've got some generous underwriters and folks that have also helped with sponsorship. Do you want to give a shout out to them as well?
Oh, the Porter County Community Foundation, they've been great.
Great.
They've been great.
I think I flashed real quick, but I saw Indiana Arts Commission was up there,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I think I saw, did I say Legacy Foundation? Indiana Arts, South Shore Arts, right?
Yep.
See with the Derby there, and the National Endowment for the Arts. So, and again, I know there's so many others that just help as just devoted patrons. We teased earlier here as we get to start to wrap up here when I brought in the 2 Sherlock Holmes magnifying glasses, but sometimes I need these to read my own columns in the newspaper, I feel like. But in all honesty, is the show prop heavy? Is there a lot of props going on? Maybe not these, but other props are, no, it's pretty minimal. Oh, they're laughing. So that might be my answer.
It's we've replaced props because they've gone missing. There's so many. Yes, there are a lot of props. You will not see a magnifying glass, but you will see a magnifying piece at some point.
Okay.
I forgot about that when we were talking about it earlier, but no actual magnifying glass, which is a key element usually of Sherlock Holmes, but we don't utilize one in our show.
Yeah.
We have a horse.
Oh, yeah.
They have
Yeah.
No, what? That's got to be somebody's job just to keep track of all of the props. Somebody needs an inventory or a database with that. That I know is that's always a trick. One of the things I always say as well, and I think everybody on the couches here will agree, the folks in Northwest Indiana, be it community theater, regional theaters, professional theaters, correct me if I'm wrong, are so kind. If you need a nun's habit, or you suddenly need an old typewriter or something that's so unique, will other theater groups say, we've got that in our prop room, we can loan it to you? Do you find that to be the case?
Oh, yeah, we do that. And then I'm just a maker. I make stuff. I learned a lot from the carp shop at the theater at the center.
Yeah.
And I have taken that skill, and when we can't find stuff, I usually make it.
Yeah.
And
Not to brag, I just enjoy doing it.
I'll toss out the name, a hallowed name of Ann Davis, who also
Absolutely.
could creatively make anything like this and make it piece together from anything that she might have.
She sure
It's
could.
an imagination that, again, I still marvel at Ann. And so a shout out and a hello to Ann Davis, who spent up
Absolutely,
to
Ann.
2 decades with the workshop at the Theater Center creating what are amazing pieces, which today still we have her canopy of trees still in the background from when we did John Denver's America, and we're so kind and grateful that she's been nice enough to say, if it works for you, it wasn't meant to be up for 6 years, but if it works for you, we always smile and give her a thank you as well. The folks at 4th Street Theater, here's our chance in our closing minute or so. Are there other things coming up, other shows, holiday shows, or things that we should toss out, or another season?
We have our one-man Scrooge right after this. I don't know if he
Is that
calls
Grant?
it Scrooge.
Is that
It's Grant Fitch.
Yes, he's
Christmas Carol,
wonderful.
yeah.
It's usually one weekend, and I don't know the exact weekend, but we'll be talking about that at the show. So come see the show, and you'll know when the next show
I've
is.
written so much about Grant in that I believe he performs as Charles Dickens himself, and then
Correct.
retells the characters of much of like the real Charles Dickens did in his latter days. And I always marvel and think to myself, gosh, why was he out hoofing it? He needed money. He did not get a lot of residuals from the Christmas Carol, these other stories, which now is in public domain. And so he made money by going around in kind of early cabaret doing this one-man show of reading A Christmas Carol and doing all the different voices. So to see that at your space, 4th Street Theater in Chester, and have Grant doing it, that in itself is something that's iconic because he's been doing it for a number of years. So.
Yeah, and he always takes whatever show we're doing, he'll utilize that set and those set pieces.
Really?
We might bring a couple things in that he'll request, but he always says, I'm going to make this work and that work and this work, so it's always a blessing.
Yeah, it's become a tradition for him to be there. And again, I know I've written a number of stories or columns about it, much like the counterpart at the Goodman Theater downtown Chicago every year does A Christmas Carol. Folks here in Northwest Indiana know that, hey, we can go right here to 4th Street and we get our Christmas Carol experience courtesy of Grant. But right now, for the month of November, it's Baskerville by Ken Legwood. Comedy, mystery, murder. You will not regret going to get your tickets. Remember, it's a small space, so you want to make sure you get them right away. $20, very affordable. Go on to Facebook to find out more. You can also go to the website, which was 4th Street and
4th Street NCAA.
And it was .com, not .org. So there's another opportunity. And most of all, I hope all of you will come back again with other projects you've got coming on. It's been way too long. If you didn't recognize the studio, that means you're overdue to be back again, all right?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you
Phil.
to our producer, and thank you to all of you, our listeners, and also our viewers for tuning in to this edition of Notoriety. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, as it could be morning, afternoon, or evening, or wherever your path might take you.